G'day YouTube, Max Wright here, and well, what an absolutely epic day in Bitcoin. We went all the way down to $28,000. Fear is palpable. If we click over here to the crypto fear and greed index, I told myself before I hit refresh on the page, I was like, this is going to be 10 for sure, and it's exactly 10. We see we are at extreme fear. This is the lowest. You'll see the fear and greed index has put a base in at 10. And we're all the way at that base. The question is, do we bounce off it? Do we come back? We're going to be covering all of that in this video. There is so much panic, so much fear at the moment. Are we going to go lower? That's the million-dollar question. That's what we're going to answer right here in this video. We're going to take a look at the evidence for. We're going to take a look at the evidence against. Believe me, there is a very, very, very good piece of information suggesting we are at the bottom. But there's definitely some things to be concerned about. We're going to evaluate both sides equally. Well, I'm not a fanboy. We're not here just to cheer bigger prices. We're here to help make you money, which means we're going to look at both sides. All right, we're going to look at that here. And then afterwards, I've got a Q&A. So for those of you new to the channel, every now and again, I do a Q&A exclusively for paid members. So paid members of Success Council get to ask me questions. And we've got about 50 questions that came in over the weekend in a video that I did. So I'll be doing a members only Q&A session where I answer everybody's questions, but the public gets to see that. So it's kind of fun. Everyone learns. All that in this video, going to be a huge video. So hit that like button, smash up that subscribe, and let's get to it. All right. Man, so much going on. Let's start with this chart, shall we? So let's take a quick look at what's happened. So I'm on the hourly, and I want it to be here. Let's make sure my head's not in the way. Nope. Okay. Now, on the previous, I think it's the previous video I did, I talked about Wyckoff accumulation. Let me find Wyckoff. Let me find the picture. Here we are. This is the Wyckoff accumulation chart, which I presented to you guys in the previous video. And I said, listen, we don't want to go over that because I didn't have a previous video, but I said basically we come down and we zigzag around for a little while. There's a lot more to it. You got to look at volume levels. And if you go to the previous video, there's a link in the description explaining what to look at. The volume levels of the trading, how to draw these lines, etc. It's all there, right? And I drew these kind of lines. It's basically this sideways pattern was playing out. And we didn't know, I presented two possibilities because at the time the price was way up here, right? And I was saying, we're trying to decide, is that this point or is that this point? So for example, I'll show you this way. I could stretch that out a little bit. You kind of get where I'm going with this. The question was, is that this point? Or is that this point we're about to blow through? And the answer has come clearly that we definitely were not that point. For at that point, the price would have head up, and you can see the price has had a big, big, big fall down. By the way, there's a couple of people in the comments of the previous video who called that. Well done to those guys. So here's what we have done now. This pattern has now started to look a lot more solid. It's invalidated the option that this was that, and it said, okay, if this picture is valid, if Wyckoff accumulation is valid, then this is that. And I'm trying to get this a bit bigger. Let's come in here and drag that down. We'll go to there, bring it back. Okay. Let's see if we can line things up a little bit here. We're a little behind. You can see we come down for our first low, that's here. We come up, we zigzag around, and we create these horizontal blue lines that I've made here, right? And it effectively creates a channel. And we zigzag around a little bit, we come up for this one, and it starts to look very exciting. Maybe we're going to break through, but it does not break through, okay? The confirmation for Wyckoff, and I told you this in the last video, is not here. It's got to break through this top blue line. So I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm looking for a confirmation around $43,000, $42,800, something like that, right? Confirmation is when we break out of this pattern. This is confirmation. This is where we go, okay, that entire pattern played out exactly like Wyckoff said it was going to play out, and only when we break out up here is that confirmation. You are not supposed to enter a trade prior to that. So I told everybody that here, and we got rejected. That should have been a clear signal that we were not in this phase. This phase was this, and we came all the way down and set a new low. You'll see right here, this is the lowest of the low. There is nothing lower than this, and that is this here, right? If Wyckoff is playing out, we in the last 24 hours, we just did this. Now, a lot of people, when they get into trading, they make this mistake. They think, oh, this is a pattern. This pattern predicts a bunch of things. This pattern did all that just like it predicted, therefore, I should buy at the bottom. No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. You should buy at the confirmation of the pattern, right? The confirmation is up here at 43. This pattern just held, and it depicts a continuation in a bull market. The price comes down off its steep decline, runs out this pattern, and then heads up for the next leg of the bull market. What does that mean? New all-time highs. Bitcoin higher than $60,000, more higher than $65,000, right? That's what this is predicting. When Bitcoin is over $65,000, do you care if you got in at 43 or 30? The answer is no, you don't. You don't. Because at any point prior to the completion of this can be invalidated, it can turn around and drop down, and we can go to new lows, and you thought you were getting a bargain down here, but this pattern did not play out. So it's very, very, very important, and I've got to admit, I break this rule every now and again. You want to buy the low. Everyone wants to buy the low, but a disciplined trader will not do that. A disciplined trader will wait for confirmation, and they will be much more likely to make money. It will be a little bit less. If you buy down here, if it plays out, you're going to make money, but the chances of this pattern turning around and laying over here is possible, is much more likely than once you get confirmation up here. So I just want everybody to understand that. Okay, if Wyckoff is playing out, we're not supposed to get into this trade for a long Bitcoin position until about 43, right? Now, I identified 43 as my confirmation way before Wyckoff started playing out. Like way back here, I was like, I'm not getting back in until 43. The problem is I have seen so many other YouTubers repeat that message in the last couple of weeks. This period here, in this last couple of weeks, people have been repeating that. I'm not saying they copied it from me. They're just seeing the same things in the charts that I'm seeing. And I hate not being the contrarian. It really concerns me when I'm saying the same thing as everybody else. And I can I can think of at least 2 or 3 big YouTube channels, bigger than my channel, saying the same thing now. And that has me a little bit concerned. But as for now, it looks very, very strong whereby if Wyckoff plays out now at 43, there's a lot of reason to suggest that we should go long Bitcoin. Because remember, you're going long, and this is how I think of it. Maybe I can clever enough to get out at the next, top. There's going to be plenty of pullbacks between now and the end of the year, between now and the end of this bull run. Right? There'll be plenty of pullbacks. And am I going to be smart enough to get out of them at the top every time and get back into the bottom? Probably not. I'm going to miss some, and that's just trading, and that's okay. So I don't think of it as like, going from 60 to 100 or going from 40 to 60 to a new all-time high. I think of it as getting in at 43 and, riding it all the way to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. And I'm thinking about that, that's 4x, 6x, 8x my money. So that's how I think about it. And so I certainly will be doing, again, everything depends. We'll look at the other evidence, and there's some more evidence I want to look at now that suggests that, that's going to be an amazing trade, and we want to go long at 43,000. Now, what's the other thing that I said in the previous video that I gave you guys a heads up for? Let's put Wyckoff away. What's the other thing I said? Bitcoin dominance. What did I say? Actually, you know what? I just want to repeat that. I want to hammer that point home for people. It's going to be a little repetitive, but I think it's worth it. I'll drop to the daily. It makes it easy. Actually, I'll go to the 4-hourly. You'll also remember in the previous video, I'll just click order. You'll also remember in the previous video, I said Bitcoin loves to repeat patterns. And it did the Wyckoff, it's called the Wyckoff accumulation down here. I think it's called the Wyckoff top here or something like that, whatever it's called. This is the inverse. And you can see that you kind of this point where it breaks out of the pattern just briefly for like a day, just wicks out and comes back in. That is the equivalent of today down here. It just wicked out and came back in. Yes? Now, can you, halfway through the pattern, should you do this? Like, yeah, maybe you would have sold at 60, you should have shorted at 61, say. Well, you could do that. And then, you might have had the wisdom to close out that short down here at 30, maybe. But the correct way to play this is to wait for confirmation for the entire pattern to play out and get out here. And here is the place where you're supposed to short if you were playing that game. I did not play that game. But here is where you were supposed to short. You were supposed to short at 46 and have the wisdom to close out that short down here in the 30s. Low 30s, right? And that's a hell of a good trade. That's a hell of a good trade. So I just want to repeat that so everyone can see. Now, if you want to be, Captain Hero, you can go, maybe you could have said, hey, this is the first 3 phases of Wyckoff. This is the highest it's going to be. And maybe you get out here and maybe you make bigger profits. But it's a much riskier thing. I wanted to demonstrate that to you, and I wanted to point it out to everybody. So actually, and before we leave Wyckoff, let me just triple check this. Yes, you'll notice there is supposed to be a little bit of back and forth around these 2 blue lines here. Around these 2 blue lines. Back and forth, back and forth. So we cleared it. Don't be surprised if we come back into it. But man, if we bounce off of that and start climbing up here, I would be really, really expecting to see a push up before the rest of that pattern is. Some zigzaggy up here, fighting with this resistance before ultimate breakthrough and clearing 43,000, right? That's the way. So you know what? No, I won't draw it out. Well, I will draw it out. I'm going to draw it out because I want that super specific and super repeated. Which one are we in? Brush. Ready? So we're looking for it to come back down, up around little zigzag pattern, up midway, there was a zigzag, up, fight with this a couple times before ultimately we break through, and that was the magic. All right? Can I shrink that a little? I'm not sure if I can do that. No, hang on. I feel like I just exaggerated it a smidge. No, I can only slide it. I think I probably got the time scale a little long. Maybe got it a little long. Probably could be a little shorter. So confirmation, I think, would not be August 3rd. I think it would be late July. I think would be the actual breakout if Wyckoff goes as planned. If Wyckoff goes as planned. So we'll have to see that, guys. We'll have to see that. If I can figure out how to shrink that and narrow that, I will after I finish recording this video. But I'm going to leave that on the screen. We're going to follow that, okay? Okay, what is the next thing that I said I look for? What did I say is going to be the next thing? Bitcoin dominance. I'm an altcoiner. I've got nothing against altcoiners. I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. I have plenty of altcoins. I told you, the altcoiners have to be demoralized. They have to be demoralized. But what was happening was there's money coming in to Bitcoin. It's like, we're starting to get, as we're zigzagging in this Wyckoff pattern, right? We're zigzagging up and down in this channel between 30 and 40 for the last couple of weeks, right? It hasn't demoralized the altcoiners, meaning money was starting to come in. It was an accumulation phase. You've got money coming in. Yes? The problem is some people, into Bitcoin, you've got some people still thinking DeFi's the tits, Ethereum's the tits, Bitcoin's going to there's a flippening happening, Bitcoin's going to go to zero, Ethereum's everything, all this nonsense, right? And money was coming into Bitcoin. Oh, it's cool. Bitcoin's not going to drag the market down anymore. DeFi is going to take off again. Altcoins are going to take off again. Money leaves Bitcoin, goes to altcoins. Bitcoin wasn't moving. And I said it, I personified Bitcoin like it was a person. And I said, Bitcoin is not going to let it run until the altcoiners are demoralized and it's clear. Do not, when the money comes into Bitcoin, do not leave for altcoins. Bitcoin's going to throw a tantrum and not let the price go up. That was what I said. That is what I repeat today. We see Bitcoin dominance climb to 47. And I drew this purple box. I said we need to clear this. We need to stay above it for some period of time. So here's going to be the second thing that I'm looking for. So I want to see Wyckoff play out for me to go long at 43. Step one. Step two, I want to see Bitcoin stay above this purple box. I'll elongate it a little bit. It's okay if it comes back down, bounces off, grows up. It's okay if it comes down quickly, bounces off, and goes up. Although you see, it's already kind of done that. We went to the top, we went to the bottom, we went up. Okay, if I get confirmation that Bitcoin dominance is clear, the altcoiners have been absolutely and thoroughly demoralized. And it's like, oh, okay, this idea of, altcoins forever are taking over Bitcoin, that idea has to be abandoned, right? And the reverse isn't going to happen either, by the way, necessarily. I don't think it is. I don't think Bitcoin's going to destroy all altcoins. I don't think that either. There's this constant yin and yang in the cycle. Constantly. I talk about it a lot in this channel, right? Here we are up at 70. Right up here, I called it. I said, listen, Bitcoin has been going on an epic charge all the way from the bottom of this channel up to the top of this blue channel, breaking through up to 70 and up to the previous all-time high, not all-time high on the dominant, but the multi-year high. Here it is. We got to the top there and the top there. And I said, guys, the altcoins are going to get lonely. We're getting jealous. The altcoins are going to start sucking out some of that market capitalization from Bitcoin. And that's what happened. And we went on an epic altcoin season all the way through down here to 40, right? And I predicted it. And I told you guys, it's going to swing back. Don't think it's altcoins forever. And I really want the subscribers of this channel to really get that. I think we have many years ahead of this back and forth between Bitcoin and alts. There's altcoin season, there's Bitcoin season, there's laying a foundation season. Right now, we're laying a foundation. We're laying a foundation. And we're reversing those roles. Reversing it. Only when the altcoiners are thoroughly demoralized and the money comes into Bitcoin and doesn't leave for the altcoin world, Bitcoin gets to go on a massive leg up, and it will be followed by an altcoin massive leg up. Bitcoin will have the momentum. It'll take things, it'll carry it, and then it's so overextended, people will be like, altcoins are lonely. And then the money will pour from Bitcoin into altcoins, and then altcoins will go up. And Bitcoin will start to come down, and then eventually altcoins will crash quite horrifically. Okay? That's going to play out again and again and again. But before that plays out, we have an epic next 6 months. And what I believe we will see is the Bitcoin dominance climb and climb and climb and climb all the way up to, I'm pretty sure it'll be over 60. I'm pretty sure it'll be over 60. Whether or not we get all the way up to 70, that's probably doubtful. But I think we will get up to this blue line. We will get up to about 60. And then you will start to see the trend reverse. And people will get all hyped up and excited out of their brains about altcoins again. Okay? So, yeah, and there's another thing. Just tying it into news, right? Tying it into news. Way back here, I was like, everyone's got a video about it in the last couple of weeks. Ethereum's upgrade. We're like a week or two away from it or whatever we are. Ethereum upgrade. Guess what? The smart money already took advantage of that the last 2 months, right? It's not like, oh, the day that it happens, it doesn't matter. It's already priced in by that point. This was decided months ago when this Ethereum upgrade was going to take place. And it got priced in, and it was a big part of the reason for the altcoin season to take over, this Ethereum upgrade. But it's priced in. That's done. If you're watching YouTube videos about the Ethereum set to explode on this date nonsense, forget about it. It's priced in. We've known about it for months. I told you about it here on the channel months ago. It's completely priced in. There is nothing to see there. It's buy the rumor, sell the news. So it's going to actually happen. People are going to be like the people who don't get that, who think, oh, but this has finally happened. I've been waiting for months for this, and here it is. And now the dynamics of Ethereum is all going to change, except it's already changed. It's already priced in. They're going to watch it. It's going to get boring, and they're like, God damn, this Ethereum thing, nothing happened. I'll get bored. But I see Bitcoin's moving, and they'll start to jump into Bitcoin. Off we're out of the races. Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance climbs. Bitcoin goes absolutely ballistic, and we'll see. It'll drag the alts up a little, but Bitcoin will outperform altcoins, I think, for a period. Now, you have to wait for confirmation for all of this, right? And that is about this. It's about this concept. It's about the Bitcoin dominance staying above this purple box. All right? We've got this little chart in here where we came down and we were deciding. It's like, is that enough? Is that enough of an altcoin season, or is there more to come? This part of the altcoin season, that was, what's the nonsense? NFTs. Everyone thinking NFTs. Right? So Bitcoin went up. Great. This part, NFTs went up, but DeFi didn't move. right? DeFi is way more interesting than NFTs. NFTs is a joke compared to DeFi. What do we see? Finally, people realize DeFi is where it's at. DeFi goes absolutely ballistic, gets this much, much larger, bigger leg. Throughout this whole period, NFTs are an absolute yawn, right? Here, NFTs are fun. DeFi is a yawn. Here, DeFi is fun. NFTs are a yawn. I want you to notice this constant thing and get it in through your mind as your strategy. What is undervalued? What season are we about to go into? NFT season, altcoin season, DeFi season, Bitcoin season. We're looking for confirmation that altcoins has been demoralized and it's time for Bitcoin season, okay? Harping on those points, but I can't tell you guys, it's so important. This is where the big money is made, where you shift back and forth between those things. If you just know that, I did not know NFTs were going to do this. I did not know that. I did have a clue that DeFi was going to do this. I shared that with you. We made some good money with DeFi. Now, and I did predict altcoins here, but when I went altcoins up here, I went DeFi. So I had to wait for a little bit before it to happen, but here's where DeFi moved. Okay. Now, I warned you guys here, Bitcoin dominance is going to start regaining strength. We've seen that. Here's the place where I'm looking for confirmation. I want the Bitcoin dominance to live above here. Come down and retest would be perfect. Bounce off and go. We're in good shape. That's going to take a couple of weeks to play out. Okay, that's Wyckoff. Wyckoff wrapped up. Bitcoin dominance wrapped up. Look, right now I think that's probably the most likely scenario. But we got to be fair. The fear is huge in Bitcoin. Let me change this graph. Oh, you know what? There's one more thing I should add. Here. What's that? The blue lines. You guys know what the blue lines are. You're sick of hearing of them, right? The blue lines are important. Why? Represents the last Friday of the month, which is when options expire, when futures expire. Typically, it's the price goes down as we get to that, and then it turns around and goes up. Within a handful of days of this blue line, we get a bottom, and the price of Bitcoin tends to either go up or sideways after that, right? That would be another killer blow, which is what Wyckoff predicts. If on the other side of this last Friday of the month, 25th of June, when we're 3 days away, we start heading up quite steep. We haven't done that for 3 months. After the blue line, we've gone sideways, which was a sign for the next 2 weeks before the next blue line, we're going to go down. Over here, we went sideways. It was a clue we were going down. Over here, we went up a little, but not much. We go back before that and look at the signs we're getting. After the blue days, we skyrocket, pull back a little. Skyrocket, pull back a little. Down here was another huge skyrocket, right? We accumulate, the blue day happens. That was a little bit reverse. The 2 days before it went up. So we've got to go all the way back to December of last year before we find a break in that pattern. Okay, because it's just the answers are here. The answers are here. You just have to see it. So we're watching Bitcoin dominance. We're watching Wyckoff. Okay, let's leave the bull case in the rearview mirror. Let's examine the bear case. What is happening? I mean, there's no doubt about this. I mean, it's a multi-month low. Yes, clear. I mean, we haven't seen. So the price that we saw today of 28.5, we have not seen since January 4th. I mean, that makes me look at this. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. We've got 4 reds. We've got 6 months of red for Bitcoin in the middle of the bull market. Absolutely obscene. 6 months of red for Bitcoin. Guys, that is weak. That is weak stuff. And, you know, you've got all the indicators. We're below the 200-day moving average. We're below the 21-week moving average. We are below the 20. We're below all the things. We've got the golden cross is happening tomorrow, right? I think the golden cross happens tomorrow. Golden cross is a lagging indicator. Golden cross usually happens after either the majority of the bear market has happened or the bear run has happened. And so don't worry about it, but it's all in the news. Every YouTube is talking about it. It's just not a big deal for me. It's in the rearview mirror. It's going to happen in the next day or two, but it speaks too much about the past. I already know that the price has come down. I know that's what the result is, a golden cross. But there's plenty of news, and that fear and greed index here of 10, people are terrified. Now, if we drop, here's where you got to catch it. See, I think to drop below 30 and bounce back so quickly, It's going to be extremely telling. If it does not come back, either, it's entirely possible. There's things happen where like not everyone, the price has been boring. Not everyone's sitting here looking at charts every day. But all of a sudden, people who, especially the mom and pop, this is the retail investor, they're off doing their work, and it's like, oh, I'll check the Bitcoin price, twice a week. They come and check. It was like, oh wow, Bitcoin at 28. That's terrifying. We're down there. There might be some more selling over the next few days. We will know over the next few days if this kind of crash continues. It's absolutely a possibility. If we come back down within a day or two, come back down again and make a new low and go below that 28, I'll say Bitcoin is in real trouble for sure, and we're going south. Right now, the fact that it's sprung back so quickly, when it went down 4,000, up 4,000, and we got back into that wipe-off accumulation zone, I'd say the fear and terror is probably not as bad as you think. Meaning, it is. The chart tells us it is. It's at a 10. But it's probably a little misplaced. And what people are doing, I think, are getting accustomed to living in this fear. And it's not everyone, right? Most of the people on this channel bought a long time ago, years ago, months ago. We're all still in profit. It's fine. There's no fear for us. But for the people who accumulated in the last 6 months, they're terrified. They're terrified, right? And so if it goes lower, it can absolutely go all the way down. I think the next points are, there's 24 and 20. 24,000 and 20. If it comes back in here, but in the next few days and continues to go lower, I don't think we stop until 24. If it crashes through that in any significant way, we're down to 20. Yeah. If it goes below 20, I'm like, pack it up and go home. This is rough. This is rough, I tell you. I can't see it going below there. But if it does, we'll have to reassess that. If it goes below 20, we go back below that all-time high. Now we have to do a whole new thing. We have to jump into a monthly chart and have to go back to the... What are you doing? Help me out here, brother. Here we are in the monthly chart. It's going to be hard to tell. Can I... See if anything jumps out at me. So I'm assuming it comes back down here to the 20. There. And what do I see? Nothing's jumping out at me as a pattern so far. Yeah, we'll have to see. So 24 and 20, I'll have a bit of a think about if it gets to 20, if it breaks down below 20, what do I see? I really don't see that happening. I really don't. I'm not even sure we'll get to 24. But anyway, we'll play that as it goes. But if it breaks down, we go to 24. The line of support below that is at 20, and we'll keep our eyes on it. So much going on here. Okay, guys, I hope that was super helpful. A little bit of my thoughts. So this, I know it's not traditional TA, and I know it's like it's almost, what's the word? It's almost a relationship with Bitcoin. Like, what the hell is Wyckoff? Never heard of freaking Wyckoff until a little while ago. But I know Bitcoin, and Bitcoin loves to repeat patterns. And it just did a Wyckoff, and now it looks like it's doing another Wyckoff, inverse Wyckoff. I'm like, I know Bitcoin. Well, I got to go and learn Wyckoff. I never heard of Wyckoff until a few weeks ago. I got to go and learn Wyckoff because I know it just did a Wyckoff, and I know it loves to repeat patterns. And very early on, I think in phase B of this, I was like, hang on a minute, are we Wyckoffing again? 2 minutes after I just learned what the hell Wyckoff was, I was like, this is looking very strange. We were here, and I'm like, all right, Bitcoin's looks like it's going to repeat again. And if I had to bet, remember, we wait for confirmations. But if I was going to bet, I'd say we're in Wyckoff. And as terrified as the market is, and as terrified as everybody is, and fearing it, we did just yesterday, we made a 6-month low. We've been down in losses here for 6 months' time. Anyone who got in the last 6 months is down. Okay, there's so much fear here. I still think, despite all that, I think because I know Bitcoin, because I know it loves to repeat patterns, I think we're actually in a Wyckoff. And if push came to shove and I had to bet today, I say we're going further north from here. Okay, but I'm not making any positions yet. I'm waiting for confirmation, trying to have a little bit of discipline here. I might have a little flutter at this point, but I do like to break the rules every now and again. All right, guys, over now to the Q&A. Let's get to the Q&A. So these are the Success Council members, and let's see what they've got to say. In your Great Wealth Transfer webinar, you recommend shifting from cryptocurrency to other asset classes, such as dividend-paying stocks or real estate, when the current bull run comes to an end. Does the advent of income-producing cryptocurrencies, such as Haven and Thorchain, alter that strategy? And if so, how? Yeah, great question, UFO, I should beg your pardon. Man, that's a really good question. That's a really good question. So, given that you can earn that income, and also the borrowing and lending situation is so much better than 4 years ago, so you can actually pull out the cash without selling. But hey, you know what? I want to introduce this. I've found at least 3, maybe 4 ways for US citizens. Sorry, I'm in the US, so I look at the US tax code more. Not that I look at the actual code, but I found 4 ways, 3 or 4, to sell your Bitcoin and keep it tax-free. 3 or 4. I'm going to be doing those. I might do one on YouTube, and I might do like the other 2 or 3 for members only. So just so you know, that's the thing. If you go to this in the links below, you say join my newsletter. Go ahead and click on that link. You'll go to a webinar, the Great Wealth Transfer webinar that UFO is talking about, and you'll understand that. You'll also get the opportunity to join Success Council. Okay, So there's a whole bunch of things that are different here at UFO. One, the ability to earn your income from Bitcoin absolutely might change that. Maybe there's no need, because here's another thing. Like, you got to go, nothing to do with charts, nothing to do with cycles. You got to go, what's going on in the world? And the speed with which we are moving towards tyranny is terrifying. How broken the media is, how broken the political parties are worldwide, the money printing, etc. I got so much reservation that they're about to go full communist, like just full totalitarian communist nightmare. And if that happens, playing wealth cycles and I'll sell Bitcoin and buy real estate, and any kind of crap happens, I want to be in crypto because I got the whole thing in my head and I just walk across the border. Done. I go to a different jurisdiction and I buy myself, my family. The days of the exiles leaving with nothing but the shirt on their back. Thank God for cryptocurrency. Those days are over. You take your wealth with you if your wealth is in crypto. You bought a building, you can't take that. So there are a whole bunch of things, UFO, that are really changing the game. So you've got that, which says, oh man, I'd love to keep more, even though the price may get smashed, during a Bitcoin winter. I will take it. I will take that risk. Not even a risk, a likelihood. I think it's going to happen in crypto winter. But at least my wealth is extremely portable. And if I have to leave, I can leave. If I have to leave, there's a currency collapse in the US, and all of a sudden, it can happen like this. In 6 months, if 15 more Latin American countries say they're making Bitcoin legal tender, watch what happens to the US dollar. It will be terrifying to be here in the US. Okay? So there's things to consider. And so the fact that you can now make money, really good money from your crypto with regards to interest like Thorchain, etc., right? You can earn money with your crypto. Awesome. You can borrow against it if you do need to get large chunks of cash out without actually selling. Perfect. You can move to one of several jurisdictions which does not tax crypto as capital gains, doesn't tax it at all. I believe Portugal is one, which is a far better option for me. And then there's El Salvador now. There's 2. That changes things. And then you've got the concept of, well, am I willing to, even though the value of my assets gets hurt, but I still remain extremely mobile and I could leave with nothing but the clothes on my back and a Bitcoin phrase in my head, then all of a sudden, now I'm willing to take that Bitcoin. So all of these things kind of changes it. And you're asking great questions. Now you have to assign probabilities to that. And how much do you want to risk? Like I would never, ever, ever sell all of my crypto for exactly that. But maybe I would sell some for the sake of maximizing the profits, even though it means I end up owning buildings here or whatever else. Something to consider. Absolutely great question. Will it be possible to, so I should say that as time goes on, I'll flesh this out more and I'll keep you guys updated. Another reason to subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and do that. Will it be possible to remit payment to you in cryptocurrency for your forthcoming real estate fund? If so, which ones? You can, but don't. Just liquidate. I think I can take crypto, but I'm going to liquidate it into cash immediately anyway. It'll actually be easier for you tax-wise if you do the same. So I would suggest that. Regarding your video on privacy, you said money doesn't like privacy. And I don't think, did I say that? Oh, I did say that. I went big money, like institutional money. Like Michael Saylor doesn't care about privacy. MicroStrategy doesn't care about privacy. Kathy Wood's ARK Fund doesn't care about privacy. Tesla wants you to know they have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, right? So the big money does not like privacy. So that's, yes, the context is, I did say that, context is important. Privacy coins such as Monero and Pirate Chain have a viewing key which allows a third party to verify that you have the funds you say you have, while the privacy features of these coins keep your transactions history private. Isn't this superior to Bitcoin, for which of your financial activities are in principle out there for all to see? Yeah, that is a fantastic feature, UFO, for sure. So you're right. Then, so MicroStrategy is et cetera, could use Bitcoin, could use Monero, but I'm saying they're not going to get, the big money is not going to go through the effort to use it. It has no value to them. So they're not going to be motivated to move. That's all I'm saying. What do you think will be the best place to have one's coins during the cyber attack being planned? I love the presuppositions in all the questions. There's a cyber attack being planned. Okay. I really don't think it matters. You should, hopefully, all of my subscribers, everyone knows you have to have a paper backup. You have to have a paper backup of your Bitcoins. So if you use a Trezor, you'll probably have like a 12-word phrase. There's lots of different paper backups. There's also like, you can get titanium backups, so they're like fireproof and floodproof, which is a great idea. Yes, so then you're completely immune to a cyber attack, right? So yes, I don't know what kind of cyber attack you're talking about that's being planned. But if it's like shutting down the internet or something, that's cool. No one loses their Bitcoin. If it's like an EMT, is it called EMT? EMP, impulse, electromagnetic pulse, EMP attack that like zaps all electronics. If you're worried about that, then a paper backup is the only one that will save you. What's your opinion on millionaires claiming that Bitcoin is a scam? You can't be an expert on everything. So, like, if you're a millionaire, well, a millionaire doesn't mean much anymore. But if you're a millionaire, okay, so you've managed to accumulate $1 million. Good for you. I mean, maybe you just got your parents' house and it was worth $1 million. But okay, so you're a millionaire, so you know something. But you can't be an expert on everything. And so I don't care who calls Bitcoin a scam. I'm an absolute freaking expert on Bitcoin. I know it's not a scam. So that's like sticks and stones for me. I don't care who you are and what you say about Bitcoin. Now, you know, because I think Warren Buffett's called Bitcoin a scam. And lots of people have called Bitcoin a scam and changed their mind. But let's say, I'm not sure if it's true, but let's say Warren Buffett's position is still that Bitcoin is a scam. I do think there's an enormous amount to learn from Warren Buffett. I'm huge on, I choose my mentors very, very well. I choose a person who has done what I want in the time frame that I've done it and as close to the environment that I'm going to be doing it in as well. All three of those conditions need to be met as closely as possible. And if they actually hit all three of those conditions, and they had, I think another one would be that they have similar skill sets to me, then it's like, okay, I can learn what they learned and do what they did, and I can do it. And so I'm going to be super humble, and I'm going to do exactly what they say. But if they have any deficiencies, then it's different for them and for me. And so I don't necessarily just do whatever it is that they say to do. Because I'm into these questions now, I'm going to move me over here, and because I really like the look of me, I'm going to make me bigger. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's a really good point there about choosing your mentors. It's like, who's saying it? Who are they? Why are they experts in Bitcoin, or are they experts in something else? And to be an expert in Bitcoin, you have to be an expert in monetary. You should be a monetary scientist. Might be a word. Monetary policy might be a word. Be an expert in monetary policy. I would say be an expert in the history of money. If you don't understand that, then you can't ever fully fathom what Bitcoin is. Like, I'm not a techie. I can't tell you to the nth degree about blocks. I think I can explain it pretty well, but I haven't gone through the code line by line. To really understand Bitcoin, I think you have to be a monetary historian as a bare minimum. You got to know Like, you need to know your Bretton Woods. You need to know your 1913s. You need to know your Federal Reserve. You need to know fractional reserve banking. You need to know the money changes. You need to know the history of gold and silver. Why did we stop using gold and silver? Why did people start putting it in vaults? You need to know it all and understand all of that. You need to know the history of goldmoney.com. You need to know the history of Liberty Dollar. You need to know you need all that stuff. You need to know that in and out, and then you understand why Bitcoin is so powerful. Kevin T. I've seen other videos recently from people saying taxation in the US on cryptocurrency will be going through the roof in the near future, 1 to 2 years. This is expected to drive lots of people to sell. What is your opinion of this unfolding, and would it be right to get out? Again, another really important ingredient. I think, so Biden's going to, I think I'm not sure has it passed, but the Biden tax plan is to double capital gains tax. I think that will trigger a Q4 of this year. If that gets voted on and passed, Q4 of this year, you're going to see a crash in real estate, in stocks. People are just going to take some money off the table. A, you're in a Biden presidency. You know the economy is going to suck. B, if I wait until after January 1st to sell some asset, now my tax rate's doubled. All right, I'm going to, even if I sell it to my spouse or something and buy it straight back, I might just take the tax hit now just to raise my cost basis. So there's a whole bunch of things happening with regards to the broader economy. Are they going to try and tax cryptocurrency out of existence? Absolutely. That's like an ace up their sleeve. I think they can do that. I think they will do that. I've predicted this for the last 10 years. Is it going to happen in the next 1 to 2 years? I don't know. For anybody else from any other country, it's virtually irrelevant, right? Virtually irrelevant. But for Americans, because if your jurisdiction does something idiotic and you're Bitcoin rich, you pack up and you leave. You go to where you're treated better. You move to another country that isn't being tyrannical. Americans have a huge problem. It's one reason I have refused to get an American passport. Even though I've lived here for a long time, I do not have a green card, and I do not have a passport. Very, very deliberately so, right? The reason I do not do that is once you make that leap, you are now in the possession of the American government for your entire life. And if ever you leave, you can go and leave this country and never ever come back, you still have to pay taxes to the US government. You pay them in your future country that you move to, right? And if most countries have a tax treaty, but if it's a tax haven, like with a very low tax rate, they do not, and you still have to pay full tax. If they have a tax treaty, you don't pay double tax. So let's say your tax bill you move to wherever you move, Singapore, right? I'm not sure if Singapore has a tax treaty, but let's say they have a tax treaty, right, with the US. You move to Singapore, you pay your taxes there, your tax bill there was $40,000. But if you did the taxes here in America, your tax bill was, say, $40,000. So you pay $10,000 to Singapore and you pay the remaining $30,000 to US. And US citizens cannot escape that unless they move to Puerto Rico and go through that whole process. All right, there's one tax haven for US citizens, Puerto Rico. For everyone else, the whole world is your tax haven. You just leave and start paying taxes in your new jurisdiction. Okay, very important. And that's a really, really interesting concept, Kevin. And again, another ingredient that just needs to be factored and considered. If the Biden tax plan has not been passed, if it does get passed, I am very, very concerned about Q4. I think we'll see a big crash, which is great. I've been waiting for it. I'll be taking advantage of it. I'll be buying it up. Because when you buy up on the other side of that, then we won't have this. You're not going to have Democrats in power forever. Well, as long as they keep counting the votes, you will. But you won't. There are cycles, and so there'll be cycles of high taxes. There'll be cycles of low taxes, and also in a lot of things you don't need to sell to get the money out. Okay, so you don't need to sell real estate. But a lot of unsophisticated investors out there are like, oh, tax rates are going up. Capital gains tax are going up, and a lot of amateur accountants out there are advising their people, will sell your asset now instead of next year. It's a consideration, but there's so many ways to be smart with your taxes anyway. I won't be panic selling assets like that, but a lot of people will, and that's something to consider for sure. Just a quick question about ThorChain. How do you compare the security of AsgardX wallet to Trezor? AsgardX is significantly weaker than Trezor, but I think within the next kind of few months, you will be able to use your Trezor with AsgardX. Okay, I think, to my knowledge, if I remember reading that correctly, they are working on that. AsgardX, look, nothing against AsgardX, just Trezor is top shelf security. It's a really, really good method of security. AsgardX is not. You are sitting on your computer. If you want to be super safe, you have a second computer that you only put online, once, however long, every time you're doing a transaction on AsgardX. And then you turn the computer off and it's disconnected from the internet and you're good. And you've got very little chance of downloading some kind of malware or whatever else because you're not doing your day-to-day browsing on that other computer. So that's another way to make AsgardX better. If you're using a Linux machine or Mac, AsgardX is going to be better. If you're on Windows, using your AsgardX and you're browsing, all kinds of things and checking out websites you shouldn't be checking out, and you're not sophisticated, you might be tricked into clicking phishing emails and stuff like that. All of these things increase the risk for AsgardX. So I'm not saying AsgardX is trash. I'm saying Trezor is premium, and AsgardX is an excellent desktop wallet, but it's only a desktop wallet. It is not a hardware wallet, and they are different categories of safety. Yazad, for IDO launches, what characteristics do you look for to determine how impactful or rank highly each project will launch? So, God, that's a good question. There's just a lot. Do they have a cool narrative? Is the team cool? Are there people that you can trust? Rug pulls are always the big problem. So the people behind the project is big. Do they have a reputation? Now, there are some pseudo-anonymous people who have amazing reputations. They've been around for like 10 years in the crypto world, and they've started projects, and at all times they've absolutely tried their hearts and busted their nut to do it. We don't have any idea who they are, but they've been using the same handle on the boards and whatever else, and they've got a good reputation. And then there's people who their real world identity, and again, they've got a history and you can know their reputation. But people are huge. Does it fit a narrative right now? Like, is any project starting in DeFi with a really cool narrative, like it's DeFi but like DeFi for Bitcoin? That's a great narrative. It's an underappreciated one at the moment. It's going to be massively appreciated. That's positioning yourself in front of something very, very special. That's an example of looking for a narrative that is perfect or about to be perfect. And then what else? You got talent. You got how much money is behind them, and what kind of community do they have? Are there a big one is community. So do they have access to influencers? Are there influencers getting behind this? That's a big one, because it's the influencers, like the YouTubers, like the Twitter people. We bring in the masses. We're educating the people about it and letting people know about new projects. And like, for example, ThorChain. I'm really excited by ThorChain. They didn't pay me anything. I just got excited about it and shared it with everybody. But let's say I brought 5,000 people into ThorChain, right? 90% of those are going to be investors. That's kind of interesting. But maybe 1, 2, 3% are going to be coders. It's going to be programmers. People are going to be people who want to like hustle on the boards and like shill for ThorChain in comments of other videos. And there'll be some percentage of people who work for the project. And it's the influencers that bring in the large numbers, and it's some percentage of those turn into people who just really move the market. Like Michael Saylor, for example. Some influencer got him across the line. I don't even know if Michael Saylor knows who it is or if the influencer knows who he is, but it could be a combination of influencers. And someone got Michael Saylor across the line on Bitcoin. And all of a sudden he goes all in, and now he's an amazing influencer himself. And that's just how it works. So influencers are important. Okay. For the many methods of crypto investments, would you be willing to show us staking, farming, swaps, or other forms of arbitrage along with holding for the long term? If yes, is there a particular investment method that you would recommend newbies to start out with along with holding? This is a very, very personal thing, is that because it so much speaks to your mindset and your skill set. I would say both of those. I meant to say skill set, but I think actually both of those are both valid. What is your skill set? There's a lot of people who have absolutely no business going anywhere near any of these. It's like, it's too complicated for you. You should not do it. Like if it broke your mind and tormented you, and you went to Coinbase support 10 times just to create your account and buy Bitcoin. Like, you should not get anywhere near these things. So it's a very personal, specific thing. And then once you know what your skill set is, then you kind of go, okay, well, I can learn this side of things technically, and I can know what level to go to. And so I don't have a clear-cut answer for that, but I would just say play around and see what rings true for you. Hi, Max. Which asset classes will do well with the upcoming inflation? What do you think real estate will do in the coming 2-3 years? And could you do a real estate seminar on Success Council? Yeah, I probably will. I believe I'm going to get more and more into real estate. And so, yes, as I get more proficient at real estate, and hopefully, better yet, I really want to partner. I would love to partner with a really cool brand name in the real estate world. I think I would love to, like, I should actually reach out. I should reach out to like a George Gammon or a, what's his name? What's Rich Dad's real estate advisor? Is it Kilroy or Elroy? Elroy, I don't know, something like that. Ken McElroy, I think, something like that. I would love to partner with a brand name on the real estate front. And it's like, you be my real estate guru. I'll got all these Success Council members who want to pool their funds and get in on the best projects. And I would love to form some kind of a relationship with those guys. So maybe that will come to fruition here in the near future. I've got my eyes out for someone like that. And if I have to go and become a real estate expert, then so be it. I'll do that. But either way, I would like to eventually bring you more and more real estate content, but I don't think now is the time. With regards to your upcoming inflation, I'd be very, very mindful of this assumption. Inflation is not a foregone conclusion. I think eventually it is, but it's not to say that it's a foregone conclusion just yet. And there can still be a shudder to the market. I foresee maybe one more big one. Maybe it happened, and maybe March 2020 was it. But I can still see, like, for example, you've got, is it Michael Burry, who predicted The Big Short? He's predicting deflation, not inflation. I just saw a video today, Robert Kiyosaki. He was like, I think Bitcoin's going to 24,000 before I get in. He can see some deflation there. So there's a lot of very smart people predicting deflation. So be mindful of that. Now, for my prediction, I can see one more big deflationary event before a bigger inflation. So it's not guaranteed. And I torment about this all the time. I go back and forth, and it drives me nuts too. And it just makes me so angry that all the knowledge of economics counts for zero. Like, I spent a lot of time learning economics, and I think I'm quite good at it. I've learned a lot of time learning the macro, and it counts for zero. Because all that matters is, what do they want to do? If they want to keep printing money and keep loose lending, keep interest rates at zero, they can keep the party going forever. Then they can issue central bank digital currencies, and they can hand you money and force you to spend it, or it evaporates. And then you're just going to go keep buying stuff. And then they can keep the inflation going forever. The system desperately wants to unwind. It desperately wants to deleverage, and that's a deflationary environment. But if they can not let it happen until you get hyperinflation, like until you get Zimbabwe. So, but is there another big crash between now and Zimbabwe? I think probably, but we'll see. And even I got a big part thinking, like, again, I thought maybe this ridiculous tax plan about doubling capital gains tax, that could be a huge trigger for it in Q4, when a lot of people want to sell. We always see Bitcoin, when Bitcoin has its big crashes from its highs, it's in December. I don't think that's an accident with regards to tax years. This year, you have the addition of the tax rate potentially doubling on the capital gains on your Bitcoin. You're going to see all markets get hurt by that. It's something to consider. Scott, you mentioned the stochastic RSI as an indicator you like. Actually, I did, and I didn't look at it this time, and let's do it. I like to look at it on the daily. Let's go back to, gosh. Really? That's just being silly. And let's get up here. What do our indicators say? I'm sure all our indicators scream by. And we've got this stochastic. Yeah, the stochastic has not yet crossed up. So just with regards to that, which is kind of like, that would suggest either more downside or sideways, but not upside. The momentum is down, and it will stay down for a little bit until the stochastic crosses back up. Okay, sorry about that. Back to your question. Also, if I sell at the top of the indicator and buy at the bottom, does it matter if I sell for USD or Tether in terms of taxes? Like, I'm not an accountant, but no, to my knowledge, it makes no difference. Lastly, to avoid fees transferring coins back and forth from various exchanges to my ledger or Trezor, the only wallets I have, should I keep everything on the exchange as bottom to top of the stochastic RSI is only a week or so? Look, it depends on how much money you have, what percentage of that are fees, Scott. Great questions, by the way. And also, what's your security like on the exchange? Who's the exchange? If it's like Kraken or Coinbase, and you've got all of the levels of security on that, like I use Kraken, I'm more familiar with Kraken than Coinbase, but Kraken has just phenomenal security, and there's like multiple devices needed to get money out of my Kraken, and so you want to it's a broad question. It's a broad question. If you're comfortable with your exchange, you're using all of the security they make available, right? And it's like Coinbase or Kraken, you're probably pretty fine leaving it on the exchange, I would imagine. A lesser exchange, maybe I'd be pulling it off. Remember, your fees are like if you got $10,000, your fee might be $1. If you got $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, your fee's still $1. So the amount of fees you pay as a percentage of how much you're protecting becomes an important question, and I don't know how much you're protecting. So something to consider. Hi Max, it would be very helpful if you can do a video on how to invest with BlockFi using BTC and cryptos. I am more interested in long-term investment with possibility of borrowing against BTC if it really goes to the moon. Thanks. Hey, so it's really, really simple. I'm not going to make a video on it because it's just too simple, and BlockFi does support. So something I have to be cautious of, no matter how much I warn people. It's like I can't offer support, and I don't offer support to anything else. I don't offer support for BlockFi. I don't offer support for ThorChain. I don't offer support for AsgardX. I can talk about the concepts, but I'm not your tech support guy, right? So when I say, hey guys, ThorChain's really interesting, you might want to check out this, and here's AsgardX, now all of a sudden my email's flooded with, hey, I can't fix AsgardX. I have this problem with AsgardX. I'm like, I'm not your tech support guy, people. So I don't want to do that. It's not what I enjoy doing. But BlockFi has a support people. I don't think, like AsgardX does not have support. There's a community which is pretty helpful. But BlockFi, they pay people to be customer support and help people do exactly what you're asking. So just ask them. But it's extremely simple. You want to send your Bitcoin to them and click what is it, lend or whatever you got to click. But it's very, very simple, and they've got support to teach you to do that. How can my son, who is under 18, buy crypto in the United States? None of the exchanges allow for this, and he is pumped by listening to me and knows he needs to buy some. You can just sell them to him. You buy it at the exchange and then sell it to him. When it comes to your tax time, if you're an exchange, you'll probably pay like $50 for a service. I think there's a link in the description actually for one. And then they just go and download all of your transactions from let's say you use Kraken. They download all your transactions and they give you a form for you to hand to your accountant and like, here's all your crypto taxes ready to rock. But now you've got one transaction off exchange. You have to go in and manually put that in. So it's like I sold $100 worth of Bitcoin to my son at this price. Note all that. Note any of your off exchanges, and it's going to make it easier for you come tax time if you're into that kind of thing. Is that so? Yeah, but people under 18, they can buy it from you. Just you sell it to them. It's not illegal for you to sell crypto to someone, like your son or anyone else. Hi Max. For gold and silver, we understand that there is market manipulation through the paper and future derivative markets. Okay. Do you see this becoming a case with Bitcoin, DeFi coins, or privacy coins? If yes, what areas, e.g. shift changes in commitment of traders for metals, should we pay attention to? Thank you in advance. So there's this thing called manipulation. And I don't know, people throw around the word manipulation like absolutely crazy. I'm a pure capitalist at heart, and the only time that I get offended by manipulation is when the laws favor one group over another and basically give them an advantage in the market. If they all have access to the information, but some people are more sophisticated, some people are smarter, some people have amalgamated more money and can bully people out of positions, some people go and look at public information and can see there's a bunch of shorts and can see if they just dump something on the market, it'll cause a cascade to go all the way down there and they can buy back in. They're just smart. They're not manipulators, in my opinion. For me, the part that I get offended at with manipulation is when insiders have information that outsiders don't have. And they use that information to take advantage of the markets. That is just, I think that's criminal, all right? But that happens, and it happens in all markets. With regards to crypto, one of the biggest ways that you can, so I don't even call what I'm about to tell you manipulation, but a lot of people do. If you have a large bank and you have access to this information, which can be public in a lot of ways, in a lot of instances, you have access to information and you can do a big sell, which causes a cascade of liquidations. And then you come in and buy at a lower price. I say so be it on that one. I get caught up in it every now and again. I'm certainly not a whale that can do that, but that's okay. It's not manipulation for me. The big manipulation is lying and insider information. Insider information I can't help. Lying becomes a very, very interesting one. Now, you've got, when the gold and silver ETFs came out, they claimed they were selling gold they never had, but they had the money to make up for it. And at least people believed they had the money to make up for it. But I think they did. They've always honored. Like, I think at the beginning that they used to sell gold futures, and if they couldn't afford to buy the gold, they would just never go and buy it, and they would give you the money, but they would settle honorably. But I think their terms and service used to say we will settle in gold, but I think they've even changed that now, so where they don't have to settle in gold, and it's okay to settle in cash, the gold position. So that's kind of become okay, albeit maybe it's not great. Here's the magic, one of the magics of Bitcoin that gold and silver do not suffer from. Sorry, gold and silver do suffer from. At the beginning, they promised they had the gold. And that's what gave confidence to the situation. I think they were lying, and they were selling gold they never had. Okay, now they're not promising they have it, so it's hard to even call it manipulation. Okay, here's the catch. They were able to get away with it for years and establish this pattern because gold and silver are a pain in the ass to take possession of. I mean, it's a worldwide market, and the COMEX in Chicago has got to ship your thing to Zimbabwe. Like, that's just cost an absolute fortune. Then it gets there. Now you've got to pay for it to be stored, pay for security, and it's a nightmare. And no one wants to settle in gold and silver. No one wants to. It's extremely expensive and an absolute pain. Crypto does not suffer from that problem. If you take like buy futures on Bitcoin or whatever, and you want to take possession, it's like, yeah, send me the Bitcoin. And 2 seconds later, you've got it. And if they settle in cash, no problem. You send the cash to an exchange, you buy the Bitcoin, you send it to you within 24 hours, and fees in the pennies, you've got your Bitcoin. And so if they ever try to do that with Bitcoin, I think they're going to get hurt very, very badly, because they can settle in cash, fine, but then the cash goes to the person and the person just goes and buys the crypto. So there's not this like curtain behind which is there gold there? Is there silver there? I don't know. You've got to go and get 3 top 5 accounting firms to come and audit the gold, and then maybe I might trust them. So to audit Bitcoin, it's no worries. There's all of a sudden rumors. These guys don't have the Bitcoin. These guys don't have the Bitcoin. It's going to collapse. It's a pyramid scheme. It's going to collapse. They can answer the question in 2 seconds. It's, guys, here's the Bitcoin address. We're going to send the Bitcoin from one address that I own to another address that I own, and it's public on the blockchain. And they do that, and they've just proved funds. And we saw this play out with Mt. Gox. Rumors started that Mt. Gox had been hacked. Money was gone. They don't have enough Bitcoin there. And it's like, very simple, guys. Transfer your Bitcoin balance from one address to another. We'll see it on the blockchain, and all of the fear goes away. They didn't do it. And the fear grows and grows and grows and becomes more and more validated. And eventually the price of Bitcoin on Mt. Gox is 10 times the higher price of Bitcoin everywhere else because no one believes them. There's too much risk associated with that Bitcoin. And it goes away. The Mt. Gox collapses. So it's so easy to take possession of Bitcoin. And it's so easy for the people to order. They have to hire a top 5 accounting firm with a reputation to prove the reserves are there. They just transfer it from wallet A to wallet B. We can all see it on the blockchain. Between these two mechanisms, if people try and do that kind of illicit manipulation of the price of Bitcoin, they're going to get smashed because it will be found out relatively quickly, whereas they can get away with it with gold and silver for a long time. Now, there's other kinds of manipulation, but if I buy Bitcoin, I manipulate the price. So this definition of manipulation needs to be understood first. Okay. Hi, Max. More of a request. Can you interview Raphael Lavardi from the TCV on your channel, which is the Crypto Vigilante on your channel? From all of the crypto experts I've listened to, the breadth and depth of knowledge of this guy is stand out incredible. Would definitely add a contrarian viewpoint to the already contrarian dude. Yeah, I'd love to do that. And in fact, guys, actually heads up, in this video below, I am actually doing an event. There's the Crypto Vigilante event is taking place in 2 days, on Thursday, right? I'm going to be on there. Raphael is going to be on there. We're on the same day. In fact, let me see if I got the timetable here. So we're both going to be on Thursday. Let me see if what time Raphael speaks. Raphael speaks a little bit later in the day. He speaks at 5:30 Eastern. I speak at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And there's some cool Rick rules in between us. I think earlier in the day, there's David Morgan. We've got Mark Faber's on. So it's a really, really good event, and it's just going to be a great event with all kinds of stuff, but not just crypto. So it's the Dollar Vigilante Summit. I'm going to make it the top link in the description. Go ahead and check it out. It starts on Thursday, so that's just 2 days away from now. And it's going to be a really cool event. I'm speaking there. Raphael's going to speak there. Check that out. And yeah, I'll reach out to him, and I'd love to have him on the channel. That sounds like a great idea. Thank you for the suggestion. This is an interesting one. We got Mr. R. 2 different Mr. R's. How funny is that? Okay. You made an interesting argument in your Will Privacy Coins Destroy Bitcoin video saying you don't see the switch happening. But I see a lot of people missing the point about cryptocurrency and why they started in the first place, which is that it should be private. They shouldn't be called privacy coins, but just digital cash gold. The privacy features were supposed to be for Bitcoin, a bare minimum requirement for your standard cryptocurrency. When you have physical gold in your house, you don't call it privacy gold. It's just private by default. When you pay someone, yeah, I understand all that. Get to a question. Also, throwing in the fact that a lot of Bitcoin devs have now moved into Monero and Pirate Chain, doesn't it seem like and make sense for the crypto space to be heading back to its grassroots, and privacy coins just happen to be a manifestation of that? So, yeah, no. So this is what, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't follow the Crypto Vigilantes every single word on crypto, but I believe they said the same thing. I believe they were all in on Bitcoin Cash. Right? And Bitcoin Cash is superior. It's the way to go. And they answered the question philosophically. And philosophically, I agreed with them. Like, I think, arguably, as we see Lightning Network come up, it's taken several years, but as Lightning Network comes up with Strike and we see what's happening here in El Salvador, there's a very good argument to say the Bitcoiners were right and the Bitcoin Cashers were wrong, philosophically. But let's put that aside. Bitcoin Cash was a great example of where they had a great thesis in that it was maybe more ideologically pure, and maybe it should have won the debate in 2017, but it didn't have the market cap, and they lost, and ultimately it's been left behind. For whatever that's worth, by market cap, it's been left behind. And so you need to be very, very cautious about understanding the ideology behind things and not just being sold on something by ideology. There's a lot of different vectors that need to go in. The branding of Bitcoin versus Monero, I mean, you're talking, it's just miles apart. Being just a better product is not sufficient. There's a theory going around that once a leader in a space is established, it's not enough to just be better than it. You need to be 10 times better than it to win back the marketplace and out them as the top dog. Now, this privacy feature that Monero has and Pirate Chain has, that's great. And it's much better in that dimension. What about in other dimensions? Does it have the branding? Does it have it's just so many things. Does it have the influencers behind it? Does it have all of those things? There's so many more. Does it have the hash power behind it? Does it have the thousands and thousands of wallets built for it, made for it, all the widgets on people's websites that quote the Bitcoin price and not the Bitcoin Cash price? Does it have the number of people in the forum versus the other forum? There's just so much to it that just don't hang your hat on this one thing that privacy coins is eventually going to do it. And also be very careful with, you set it up here at the beginning, which is the premise that people got into Bitcoin for privacy. No, not true. Not true. Some people did, for sure, but a lot of people got into it just as a store of value. They can't print more of it. They can print more of everything else. I'm in. Some people just got into it just for that and nothing more. And so don't assume that the vast majority of people who got into Bitcoin got into it for privacy. Certainly everybody, the millions of people who've got it in the last few years didn't, because it wasn't part of the Bitcoin narrative the last few years. So plenty of people are coming to Bitcoin without any of this narrative. Maybe some of the early adopters were more likely to be pro-privacy, but when push came to shove, they didn't care about it. And kind of the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin debate, well, not Bitcoin Cash so much, but the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin debate kind of solves it a little bit. It's like, what did they want? Did they want the store of gold? Did they follow the store of value narrative? Or did they want the payment narrative? That was the debate. Some people said, we want to use Bitcoin to pay for stuff. Some people said, Bitcoin sucks for paying stuff. The price is up, the price is down, and it hasn't turned out to be that good as a payment. It was one of the promises, but it hasn't turned out to be that good. Now, I think it actually will come back to Bitcoin in years through Lightning Network, etc. So I think it actually will come back. But when they were forced to choose and prioritize store of value or payment rails, they chose store of value, right? And so I think payment rails will come back with Lightning Network, etc. But if you ask people, a lot of people said, look, people want Bitcoin for payment. They want to use it in their day-to-day payments. A lot of people said that. They were wrong. It was not the primary reason. And I think you are making a mistake. Privacy is not the primary reason people came to it. Some people, yes. Not the primary reason for most people. Great question, though. Thank you. Since the US dollars and Bitcoin are now legal tender in El Salvador, does that mean that unlimited amounts of Bitcoin can be exchanged for dollars without KYC or AML? If so, could that wreck the El Salvador economy as the dollar reserves are completely drained by bad actors? I'm not sure if that's true for El Salvador. Actually, I think it might be true for El Salvador. Also, anybody, for Americans, we discussed this earlier, this is not true, but for anybody else in the world, go and live in El Salvador for a year, be a tax resident in El Salvador for that year, and transfer all your Bitcoin to cash. You just got out of crypto tax-free, can now go back to your primary country and rebuy all that crypto. Maybe the price went up, maybe the price went down. And what had just happened to you? You just raised your cost base. Let's say you bought Bitcoin for $100 and sold for $30,000. Well, you just raised your cost base from $100 to $30,000 and you're back in crypto with a much higher cost base. When you do sell if you're in your own country, if you choose to, what happens? So there's a lot of good things going to happen to El Salvador. Now, what are the bad actors you're talking about? Could it wreck the El Salvador economy as the dollar reserves are completely drained by bad actors? I don't really understand the thesis. You're going to have to flesh that out for me a little bit. It's like, what are the bad actors? What are they doing wrong? And who cares if all the dollar reserves leave El Salvador if they're replaced with, if people are selling their dollars for Bitcoin, that's a good thing for El Salvador, I think. As Bitcoin becomes gold 2.0 and Bitcoin derivatives become more widespread, do you think the Bitcoin market will be as easily manipulated to suppress the price as the gold? No, the answer is I don't think so. Kind of answered that before. Great question. Do you know why the net unrealized profit loss does not go up to 100% every time a Bitcoin new all-time high is made? So this is an on-chain metric that you're talking about. Net unrealized profit and loss does not go up to 100% every time a Bitcoin all-time high is made. No, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. Don't know the answer to that. Sorry, Steve. I'm familiar with this metric, not thoroughly, so I know what you're talking about, but I haven't investigated it strongly. So, yeah, at first glance, I think it should go up to 100% at an all-time high because everything is in profit. So, good call. Is there a manual for one? I don't know how close to get. Does it get like 99.9 or something? Because I mean, they don't do that metric. It's not like minute by minute. They might only like calculate that metric once a week and then plot it on a chart. And so, you know, as long as you're not at the exact all-time high at that snapshot, you might get a different answer. So, is there a manual for Thorchain Rune in which they explain how to go from holding Rune coin to going active, and that from an investor perspective? I liked your Rune videos very much and immediately saw the concept and potential, but I really could not find something for non-techie investor-orientated person. Step by step. Thanks. Hi, Wim. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. I'm good enough technically to read the technical crap and convert it into something that people can understand. So that's kind of a big value add that I do here on this channel. There is a community which will help you and knows Thorchain a lot better than I do. They have a Discord and they have a Telegram channel. You can check them out there. I'm confused about the difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Do they follow the same trends? Are they connected? For long-term investing, is BTC better? A friend recommends using BCH because BTC is really fees are high, network congestion. Thank you. Yeah, so they are completely different things. In 2017 they forked. That's just to say they split. Basically, if you had 10 Bitcoin, the next day after they forked, you had 10 Bitcoin and 10 Bitcoin Cash. And so you now have, the things got duplicated. And since then, they've gone their own way, follow their own trends, and do their own things. There's correlation, but they follow their own things. A lot of people like Bitcoin Cash. From the very beginning, I said Bitcoin Cash was going to fail, and Bitcoin BTC is where it was going to be at. And the reason is very simple. Just go with whatever's the bigger market cap. Because the smaller market cap can never compete. And unless it's within like 5-10%, the smaller market cap will always get beat. Okay, I hope that helps. And it depends what you're going to do, like network congestion and high fees. If you're using it for store of wealth, we don't care about that stuff. If you want to use it for payment rails, then you can use Bitcoin Cash for that. Maybe the lower fees has value to you. Magnus, good to hear from you, buddy. I remember you've been a subscriber to the channel for a long time. What would be a perfect strategy after Bitcoin is sold at the top? Wait for a housing crash and buy the houses, mortgage loans with 90% discount, or what would you recommend as a good solid strategy after we got the Bitcoin price top? Yeah, so very much depends on what's happening in the other markets when that happens. So it might be better just to go to cash. It might be better to invest in another market, and I've got to look and see. It might be better not to sell crypto at all, hold your crypto and just borrow against it if you need it for a living and invest it and get an interest rate on that. So, because in the bear market, the Bitcoin interest rate is going to go up, I believe. Right now, we're in a bull market, and I'd be curious to know if the interest rates have already changed because we're in like a bear season. I wouldn't call it a bear market. We're in a bear trend on Bitcoin, and so I wouldn't be interested to see if Bitcoin interest rate has gone up. But Bitcoin interest rates, I think, will go up during a crypto winter. But hey, you're a subscriber to this channel, so you know I'm going to tell you exactly what I think I'm going to be doing. But it depends on what the other markets are doing. Like if the stock market's crashed and real estate hasn't, and I'm going to sell crypto and stick it in like non-cash, I'd probably do the stock market over Bitcoin, even though I don't really like the stock market. I don't really play in that world. But you just have to look at the markets at that time. So just stay tuned to the channel is all I have to say. Have you started liquidity providing on Thorchain yet? What level of risk is there in liquidity providing? No, I have not started liquidity providing on Thorchain yet. And the answer is because they've got caps, I just haven't been able to get in yet. I do want to do that. And there is some risk. There's a risk called impermanent loss. There's other kinds of risk, protocol risks. They seem to be quite small. I'm not doing it all in. But here's a question I want everyone to think about this with regards to your crypto. Crypto, Bitcoin has gone up 200% a year for the last however many years, right? 10 years. If you just say that those averages hold, right? If you can get 5% interest on your Bitcoin, people think it's like, oh yeah, it's 5%, it's awesome. You're right, it is awesome. I'm going to do it. But you're turning your investment, if it goes up 200% a year, and now you also get 5% interest, you've just changed your interest rate from 200%, or your rate of return, from 200% to 205%. Question becomes, you only added a very small amount of margin there. The question becomes, is it worth the risk? It doesn't take much risk to push you off of that and say, screw that, I'll just take the 200%, right? So it's just something to consider with that. So I don't recommend anybody go all in on liquidity providing, but depending on where you're doing that, you specifically mentioned ThorChain, don't you? Yeah. So I have a fair amount of faith and trust in the ThorChain developers. I think they're doing it very smart by slowly raising those market caps, and they're just not letting the protocol risk that much money. And it's just going up and up and up, and I like to see that. So yeah, it's I have a lot of faith in the ThorChain developers without having met them or even know who they are really. They just seem to be doing things in a smart way. A, they seem to have done an amazing job on the protocol. B, and I like some of the people who have faith in them, who are probably bigger investors than me. For example, like Eric Voorhees. I don't know if Eric Voorhees has ever met the people who are doing the coding at ThorChain. Maybe he has, maybe he has not. But he probably has had some contact with them and has a relatively good opinion of them to integrate them with Shapeshift. So that's just something to consider, right? The understand that risk reward ratio, very important. Hello, happy. How is karma? I don't know what that means. Hi, Max. I'm super excited about ThorChain. I've created my account and I'm all set to transfer some coins. Great stuff. By the way, ThorChain's at a really low price right now. Where's ThorChain at? Down at $5, $5.50. And I just want to reiterate again, I think that the altcoins need to get demoralized. So it could be we can get even better prices for Rune and other things as well. So yeah, when I did the whole ThorChain thing, Thor was at $20, and I specifically told you guys, I don't think it's a good price to get right now. I did buy a little because I viewed it as a can't be without it coin, but I still got plenty of cash waiting to get in on Rune because I think we can see lower prices. I think altcoins have to get demoralized before we move up. Two scenarios: either Bitcoin goes down, drags everything with it, or altcoins get demoralized and there's a big crash in altcoins and Bitcoin can finally take off. So either way, I think there's some pain in the world for altcoins. Back to the Q&A. Could you please clarify how to withdraw coins or fiat from ThorChain? You just have to send your things to an exchange and sell them on the exchange. So if you buy ThorChain, right there on ThorChain, you can switch ThorChain to Bitcoin and Bitcoin to ThorChain, or Bitcoin to Tether and Thor to Tether or Tether to Thor, whatever. And then you can transfer those over to your Coinbase or your Kraken and then sell for fiat. But anytime you go to fiat, you need to have an exchange where you've KYC'd and AML'd, unless you know somebody willing to sell you in private. Max, what's your real name? Your answer doesn't really matter. You'll always be the amazing, much admired Max Wright to us. I just don't like saying it, only because it just makes it difficult. I don't want to muddy the waters of the SEO. So we'll just keep it that. Every now and again, I see a comment say, hey, aren't you that guy from that thing? I was like, yes, and then I delete it. So it's just easier if it creates less confusion. Although I'll say this, when I do the funds, I do have to give my real name. So you will know my real name when we do the funds. When I do the real estate fund, you'll know it. Okay, look at that. This Eric Voorhees video is up to 10,000 views. Good work, guys. This ThorChain stuff is really cool. That's my video, of course. I'm getting all excited by the number of views for my videos. All right. How are we going here? All right. Max, first, I want to thank you for your information and clips. Do you still think that ThorChain is going ballistic? Second question, when can we see some action on the privacy coins? Do you think they are better than Bitcoin or not? I see some differences of opinion on this with Jeff Berwick. Thanks for your time and these questions. Yes, so I do have some differences of opinion there with Jeff and his team. I think I think Bitcoin's going to outperform privacy coins. Privacy coins, the thing they've got going for them is they have a small market cap, and so the people who it doesn't take much to move that market, but I also see it's a higher risk. It's a higher risk. Like with the privacy coins, like can be a new and better privacy coin come out. Like I think Dash used to tell us that they got a lot of traction because they were a privacy coin. And then there was Monero, who did an even better job than them. And then there was Pirate Chain, who does an even better job than them, I think, according to them at least anyway. And so you always got the problem. So there's increased risk in that world that someone will knock it off its peg and something new and cooler and better will come along with a better narrative and whatever. And you with Bitcoin, you don't have that. Like I believe Bitcoin's going to be the top dog for at least a while, and especially if Bitcoin DeFi comes out. If Bitcoin DeFi doesn't come out, there's a chance that Bitcoin can be knocked off the top peg. But if Bitcoin DeFi comes out in the next kind of 12 months, and it's here with Thorchain, like you're going to see it. And then you've got the sovereign thing happening. As those things happen, it's just kind of Bitcoin is a very, very low risk, high reward scenario for me. So on a risk reward adjusted basis, I think Bitcoin's where it's at. What do you think about the longer cycles theory, and do you think it's likely that this cycle will go into 2022 with higher price targets? The answer is no. I did a video on that. I think Benjamin, what's Benjamin's last name? I forget. But Benjamin, great channel, by the way. I love the channel. I love his content. I got nothing but good things to say about him. But I think he's wrong on this longer cycle stuff. And the cycles are caused by the halvings. And it can't break beyond that. I think the reason they have been a little bit longer is because the halvings maybe occurred a little bit earlier in the year. And I've talked about snapping, where there's some other event, like a tax event or something, where it kind of triggers the downtrend. I think it's been December, right? So if it just happens to end in December, if the halving, I think in 2012 was in like November, and then it crashed in sort of December 2013. Oh, the top was in 2013. The halving, I believe, was in August, September of 2016. No, I'm jumping ahead too many cycles. Yeah, 2016, and that'll get us through to, and then there was that December, it happened in December, right? This time we've had a halving in May, as in 2020, we had a halving in May, and maybe that's too far away from December for it to crash in December of the following years, and maybe it had to crash earlier, i.e. maybe we had it last month, right? So maybe that's the end. I don't think so, but maybe that's a thing. So the longer cycle thing, the cycles are caused by something. It's the halvings. And they're not getting longer, they're not getting shorter, they're staying the same size. So the longest cycle I've never had much time for. There is an argument to be said that the magnitude is going down each time, and that, I believe, holds a lot more water. But I also don't put too much stock in that, because the first trend I don't care about. It was a mid-cycle thing, and the Bitcoin went from zero. When you go from zero to something, it always goes up infinite. And so the 2011 pump, I just delete that off the chart. I don't start looking at the chart until 2012. Just delete everything pre-2012, because I don't think it's valid to use it, because you're coming from zero to something. Post-2012, you look at the charts. Now you've only got two peaks to look at. Your peak is 2013, 2017, okay? You've got a little bit more data on the bottom, because it peaked up and went down and kind of stayed at the bottom. And there is a little bit more argument to say it's concave down. But on the top, you've only got 2 data points. And on the bottom, you've got a few more data points, but it's also relatively short. And I just don't put too much stock in any of that stuff. The 4-year cycle, I put a lot of stock in. But I can totally see a day where we hit a tipping point and we're actually on the S-curve. And Bitcoin goes, it absolutely blows that chart away. It S-curves. It goes from whatever we're at now, 3% adoption. I think once Bitcoin gets to about 10 to 15% adoption, I think within 2-3 years, you'll be at 80% adoption. It'll just be that much. The strength of that and the value of the network will just go absolutely exponential. And so a 4-year cycle is valid. I don't think Ben's thing is valid. But once again, don't want to throw shade on him. I think he's really, really good at what he does, and I'm a subscriber and I enjoy his videos a lot. What do you think? Oh, just read that one. As a current UK citizen with flexible options, with tax form is the best. What tax form is the best way to make money in crypto and retain the profits? Oh, dude, I can barely give tax advice on Americans, let alone UK. I know absolutely zero about UK tax law. So yeah, sorry, can't help you there, Matt. Hi, Max. Which company will you recommend if you are rolling a retirement account into cryptocurrencies? Will you be able to move some of the cryptocurrencies into ThorChain from a cryptocurrency IRA? I believe I've been chatting to, I think, is it iTrust IRA? I've been chatting to them, and I should put a link in the description, and I've just been lazy and haven't. But I've chatted to those guys, and they seem pretty good. And from the chats that I've had with them, they were not. You cannot. They have to keep possession. If you can, so only if they choose to include ThorChain as something that they're willing to do, then you can maybe move it around within their platform. But you can't take the cryptocurrency off their platform, or it triggers a taxable event. I believe that is the case. Gregory. Good day, Max. From what I understand, every time I exchange one crypto for another on Coinbase, it's a taxable event. Is this true with DeFi as well? If I do the same on ThorChain, for example. So what exchange you're on makes no difference with regards to that question. Absolutely none. So I really, really want you guys to appreciate that. Tax laws don't care if you're on a decentralized exchange or whatever. If you want to skirt the tax laws, which I do not recommend, but if you want to do that, you'll never get away with it on a centralized exchange because they've AML'd you and KYC'd you on the way in. If you do want to do it, then you're going to have a much better chance of getting away with it on a decentralized exchange. But just so you know, ThorChain is an open block similar to Bitcoin, and the transactions are visible. If they can link a particular address to you, they will be able to find it. Whether or not they have the sophistication to do it, whether or not they're going to go looking for you, I don't know. Whether it's for you worth the risk, I don't know. But either way, I'm not illegal, so check with an accountant. But it would be illegal not to declare your taxes just because you did it on a decentralized exchange. Okay. What percentage of your portfolio do you currently hold in cash? How are you making interest on it? I've just been lazy. It's not much. I think it's something like, no, it's probably a little bit more. I think it's like 10 to 15% in cash. And I do not make an interest on it, and I 10,000% should. If I was going to do it, I would do a USDC coin, yes, which is the Coinbase version of a what's it called? Stable coin, and I would yield farm or whatever that coin on one of the bigger platforms. Just because I know ThorChain, I'd probably do it on ThorChain. But yes, that is valid. That is definitely, I've been super lazy, and you can get like a good interest rate on your dollars. Like I do want to hold some dollars, and why not hold it in a stable coin? I can liquidate it back straight away, no capital gains tax event, because I bought it for $1, I sold it for $1. And while it's in some liquidity pool, it's earning an interest rate. It's a really good thing to do. I've just been way too lazy and haven't done it, but I think it's a good one. Do you think real estate will crash measured in dollars? This one drives me absolutely crazy. I absolutely torment myself on this. This debate between the deflationists and the inflationists. What's going to happen to the broader market? Is there going to be a real estate and or stock market crash? And man, I don't know is the answer. And because nothing matters except what they decide. If they keep printing money, it just inflates forever and you get hyperinflation. Maybe there can be another big pullback before they do that. And I don't know the answer, and I'm sorry, I wish I did. It torments me too. Have you any recommendations for crypto portfolio tracking somewhere? I don't use any portfolio. Well, actually, that's not true. You just mean just an app where you can type in, I've got 10 of this and 12 of this and 7 of this, and then it just tells you your balance daily. I use something called, I think it's called CoinMarketCap. Let me see. CoinCap. CoinCap is the one I use. CoinCap. And you can have multiple portfolios in there and stuff like that. Something I do is I have a couple different portfolios in there, and I call them Dream A and Dream B and Dream C. And if ever anyone hacks your phone and they still don't know how much crypto it's on, that's how much I dream. It's how much I aspire to get to. That's my dream to achieve that. I don't have that. Just something that you can do. And I actually do. And you can just put fake numbers in, like exactly half or exactly double or whatever, and just remember to like double it in your head. Some things to do, because I don't like people knowing how much crypto I have. A few days ago, late night, some crypto dropped 50 to 80% and bounced all the way back. This happened in a matter of 1 to 2 minutes. How does this happen? And thank you. That is usually on one exchange only, and it's usually a bug on the exchange. And so, yeah, but that's really bad stuff. Like when that happens, like everybody gets liquidated in a leverage position. And that happened, I think, with Ethereum, which is a big coin, on Kraken, which is a big exchange. And I don't know, these are bugs or what happens, but the price just like flash crashes in minutes. And you just get these ridiculously long wick, and it breaks the charts. I hate it because the charts get ruined because of these. The auto zooming doesn't work. So I'm so glad that didn't work. So yeah, just so you know that. Okay, let me think. Hey man, when do you want to get shit-faced drunk together? That sounds like a fun idea. I can do that. Let's see. For asset protection of cash-flowing rental properties, do you recommend LLC for each property, a land trust, or a series LLC on a portfolio consisting of? That's a CPA one, Yazid. Sorry, I'm not good enough on all of that stuff. I've had all of those things, and they all just kind of irritate me. I hate having extra entities. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like accountants make money by setting things up for you and doing things on them. So if they're going to set it up for me, I make sure it's cheap, and then I make sure that a lot of them are flow through, and so that they don't have to lodge individual tax returns for them. That's one of the way I do it, just because it drives me nuts. But it's a complicated question, and you need to check with an accountant for your specific situation. Love your content, but I'm a bit disappointed about the email you sent with the heading that. I watched the webinar and became suspicious that the chat was, please, okay, cool. This isn't a question and this isn't a place for this, Ren. I do enjoy this kind of feedback, but email that to me. So guys, with regards to my emails, the emails that I send out, I got 40,000 people. There's no such thing as an email that every single person loves. I love it. People think they get an email. It's like, I'm not saying you're doing this, Ren, by the way. This is great feedback. I love this. But some people write me, it's like, they're the only person in the world. It's like, I don't like those emails. Like, okay, great. I value the feedback. That changes. If I get a lot of people saying the same thing, I do that. So please send me the feedback, because just remember, some of you are going to like these types of emails, and some of you are going to like those types of emails. There's no such thing as a person who loves every single one of my emails. That doesn't happen. What is the best place to make 10 to 20% on your money on a yearly basis, decentralized if possible, even in a bear market? Are you talking about liquidity providing or like staking coins? Or are we talking about selling the coins? Yeah, I think it would be, and it depends on your skill set. Like I know some people who make 100% on real estate, and I know some people who make 5% on real estate, and it all depends on their skill set. So a lot of this stuff is just skill set related. And you can always chase higher yield. If you're a passive investor, you can chase higher yield, but now you have a higher risk. So Jamel, there's no way for me to answer this question in a useful way, because there's too many pieces of the information missing. But feel free to ask it again, or let me think. I'm trying to think of how I can help you. There's so many components to this, and you're just thinking a little bit one-dimensionally. It's like, I just want something that's at 15%. Well, I mean, the lottery is 15% when it wins, but there's just too much more. What's the risk-reward profile? And what asset classes do you want to be in, and things like that. So there's just too much for me to be able to helpful in that. More on the borrowing and lending of BTC. This is the first question. Recently, you did an interview with Sobran, which I have been studying. I think you meant to say Sovereign, which you've been studying already with high hopes. After doing so, I am not certain that it's really ready to go yet, or that it's a great investment in its present form. Your thoughts on the investment opportunity, as well as how well it could work for us for the borrowing and lending. Yeah, I have not done a deep dive on Sovereign yet. I've just done that one interview with Eben, is it? And seems like a really nice guy, and I want to do more, and I will do more. So stay tuned, but I've not completed the research on that. More on the borrowing and lending of BTC. Could you sometime do a detailed tutorial for the members on how to really play the leveraging of your Bitcoin by doing a Michael Saylor method sometime? Is ThorChange the ticket for this, or is Sovereign or something else something our ticket to do this once? Actually, I met somebody who had a really interesting strategy there. We can do leverage with. We can basically do exactly what Michael Saylor is doing, and he's taking out a long-term loan. I think it was relatively cheap. It could have even been like 1 or 2%, but they do want a part of the upside. If you're going to buy an asset like Bitcoin and it goes up, they want a part of the asset. But the cash flow, it was like a 5-year loan and you pay 1%. So I was thinking about, let me know if you are interested in this, and everybody. And the 5-year time horizon was something I found really interesting. Let's say we could do a fund, we could raise like $1 million or something among all you guys, right? We raise $1 million. We go and buy $900,000 worth or $950,000 worth of Bitcoin. No, so sorry, here's what happens. We go and get the loan, and we give we've got the $1 million, they'll give us 2. If they see the $1 million, they'll give us 2. Okay. We pay them 1% per year on the loan. So it's like $2 million a year. So 1% of that is $20,000 a year. It's like nothing. We're going to go for 5 years, so we've got to keep $100,000, right? So we raised $1 million. We got $2 million because we loaned. We effectively borrowed $1 million, okay? Don't worry about the terms, but the details. We borrowed $1 million. We've now got a pool of $2 million. What we can do is we can just set aside $150,000 for all the admin costs for the fund and all that crap, and the interest on the loan. And now all you guys just bought 2 Bitcoin and you've committed to holding it for 2 years. You've committed to not going back to it. You can't sell, you can't get out. Your money is locked in for 5 years, but you own twice as much Bitcoin as you were going to. Are you guys interested in that? If you guys want to do that, I would be open to doing that for you / with you, and we'll amalgamate that. I believe it was a minimum $1 million loan though, so we have to hit some minimums. But let me know if you're interested in that. And if you are interested in that, I can organize that for you, and we'll just do it for everyone. In order to do all that stress and headache for me to do it, there has to be a little bit. I didn't put anything in there for me. There has to be something in there for me. So maybe I get $100,000 or something for doing all that. And so you end up with like 1.8 Bitcoin instead of 1 Bitcoin. And then at the end we liquidate it all, pay back the loan, and if Bitcoin went up, you got 1.8 times what you would have otherwise. Let me know in the comments if that's interesting for people. But also you got to be what's the word? What's that kind of investor? Accredited investor. And the minimum will be like $50,000. It's good. What blew out the expenses was dealing with all the little people. The government puts a lot of annoying stuff on me if I take non-accredited investors, and I got to do way more admin. Like you got to pay an admin company, a fund admin company, to do all this garbage, and then you get into this. All the expenses just blew out, which is why I put a pin in the crypto fund I was going to do. So just to be mindful of all that. It's only for people really minimum $50,000 and accredited investors. Minimum $50,000 you're going to put in the fund. Okay, did I read the top part? I did. Does anyone know how to get Bitcoin from my Cash App? I've never used the Cash App, so no, I don't know the answer. Is there a cyber attack? If there's a cyber attack blackout later this year, do you think that crypto will be safe if it's held in a ledger? Yes, it will be safe if it's held in a ledger. If it's a blackout event. If it's an EMT, maybe not. But if you've got your paper backup, then yes. Regarding a possible economical upset in the 4th quarter of this year because of a comprehensive cyber attack, where's all this cyber attack people come from? Like, I'm going to guess it's a Jeff Berwick thing. It could be the case. I don't know. I just haven't heard about it. On our world supply chain and financial systems, how do you see the crypto and real estate markets bouncing back? And does that alter your opinion of Bitcoin hitting 100K before the end of the year? I don't know about the cyber attack. I don't know where this is coming from. But yeah, so maybe this is an outlier event. But yes, if that happens, I think the price of Bitcoin will take a hit for sure. The good news is there might be a whole bunch of Bitcoin lost to people who did not have a paper backup. If it's just like the internet's down and out for some amount of time, then man, God help society if that happens. If there's like some extended period where the internet's down, that's a big problem, big problem. Definitely have some food and guns at home if that's the case. I don't know. That's such an outlier event. I don't even think about it. But yeah, if there's a cyber attack, Bitcoin price will not get hurt. But to me, that's a very outlier event. What's the most tax efficient way for me to take profit in London? Dude, I have no idea about British tax law. Sorry. Hey, Max. More of a request than a question. Your series on ThorChain was great. I have a feeling it will be the next pick from the Jeff Berwick's Crypto Vigilante program that will be released soon. You heard it here first. Anyways, it was mentioned in one of the interviews that you can earn 10 to 20% on your Bitcoin on the ThorChain platform. Can you do a video showing how it works? I will definitely do a video showing you how it works when it's open, but right now it's closed. They've raised, since I've been watching it, they've raised the cap, like I think 3 times. They keep raising the cap, and there's just people throwing their Bitcoin in as soon as they can. Once the developers are safe, they've got ironed all the bugs out, and they're safe, they're going to take the caps off, and I think you'll see it explode. But right now, we're not there. Does technical analysis have any merit with all the manipulation taking place? Do you believe that the Fed has its hand on the manipulation? I don't think the Fed has anything to do with the manipulation, and TA still does work in a manipulated market, I believe. When is a good time to start adding positions for the long-term hold? Look, it's a great question. If you're a long-term investor, I think now is pretty decent. I mean, I am going to hold, actually. See, I've got a whole bunch of cash. I want to keep it on the sideline so I can do a big leverage position, but the price of Bitcoin is just so low right now, 32,000. I'm finding it hard not to say, yes, I'll take that. Or is it around 32.5? When I close out this video, I'm probably going to go and buy a little bit. Not much, because I want to keep some cash around for a leverage position when whack-off happens to break out. But so I'm just going to buy a little bit. And the pattern is not confirmed, and we can still go down. But if you're a long-term investor, now's a great time to buy, I think. Maybe it goes to 24, maybe it goes to 20, but it doesn't. When it's 100, when it's 200, you won't care. Where was I? There's one question left, I believe. Hi, Max. Last August, you were fairly confident of a 100 to 500K Bitcoin in 2021. Has your opinion changed on this? If so, why? Thank you. I wouldn't say it's changed that much. I think we are looking like 2013. And in 2013, Bitcoin went down. Let's go to the log chart. Okay, here is 2013. The price, this is a log chart, so it's a little bit deceptive. But the price runs up here from, let's go here from in October 12. So it goes from like $14, something like that, right? Let's call it 14 bucks, up to $260. Stop. Sorry about that, guys. The price goes from $14 up to 266 bucks, then it crashes all the way back down to 60 and goes up to $1,200, all within a 12-month period. In the space of 12 months, it goes from 12 to 1,200. It's a 100x. The feature of it was an 80% crash in the middle of it. Just think of that. In the same year that it goes up 100x, it goes down 80%. I think this horrible bear run that we have been in from 65 down to 28 is the same thing. It happened at the same time. It happened over summer. Happened during the summer of 2013, right? And I think the reason it had to crash so much was because of this crazy run up from 14 to 266. I mean, what is that in a multiple? That's over 10. It's whatever it is. Because it's so stupid high, it had to have a big correction. But the big correction was a result of the stupid quick run-up. The stupid quick run-up was a reflection of just how hungry the world was for Bitcoin at this time. I think the Bitcoin run-up from, let's get in here. From right here, what is this? We're calling this October. Bitcoin's at $11,000. It gets all the way down to 9, but let's just call it $10,000. Runs up to 65,000. That was stupid high. It had to have a stupid big correction. But this is all, for me, a sign that the last half of the year is going to be absolutely mind-blowingly explosive, right? It might not be the case. Maybe this is the start of a 2-year crypto winter and we end up down at $4,000 in 2 years. I don't know. But all of this is a sign for me that we are going to have another leg of stupid, big, awesome. So, yes. There's also another thing, which is Elliott wave theory. Elliott wave theory says you do these big runs up, you go A, B, sorry, no, that's not true. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have to have an A, B, C correction. And once you get an A, B, C correction, which was A, B, C, once you get your A, B, C correction, you get to have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. And this would be from here, 1, 2, and we're about to start leg 3. In Elliott wave theory, wave 3 is usually the biggest and never the smallest. And so if Elliott wave theory plays out here, we are looking for an epic wave 3 way up into the 100,000s. And so yes, I am still really confident of a price between 100 and 500,000 before the end of the year. That is a pretty broad range. I think anywhere in that, I think anywhere between, I think we're most likely going to get over 2. I think we're most likely going to get over 2, but time will tell. The capital gains tax thing that Biden's doing, that could be a reflection. It might really hurt us come December. Good thing about Bitcoin, it's super liquid. It's not like real estate where you got to like put it on the market in October to sell it by December. You can send it to the exchange and sell it in December, and boom, you get a December crash. So if we get the whole year, we don't get a crash until December, I could really see it being up in the just ridiculous stratospheres, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. Totally a thing. All right, guys, that is an hour and 50. I hope you guys appreciate it. Thank you very much for all of your amazing questions. And please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know. I've asked only one question today, which is, are you interested in the fund? But only if you're an accredited investor and only if you want to put more than $50,000 in the fund. And we can do a Michael Saylor and go and do that. Yeah? That's a possibility. So let me know if you want to be a Michael Saylor and leverage 2x to 1 on that. And I'll investigate doing that for you guys. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you in the very next video. Bye.